This is the Mets Postcast, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The Mets are still waiting for their first ninth inning comeback this season as another late rally fell short as they lose the opener of this four-game series against the Philadelphia Phillies by a final of 1-0. Welcome into the Mets Postcast here, live on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel. You can listen to us after the fact in the Locked On Mets podcast feed. I'm your Postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season, and a tough one. One that was certainly there for the taking for the Mets, but their offense continues to be the big story. Scored 22 runs in the first two games against the Detroit Tigers, and since they have looked like a shell of themselves offensively, and tonight against Aaron Nola, it was no different.
This is what you'll be talking about.
We talked about this, I think it was on Saturday's postcast, that after the Mets scored 5 runs in the first game against the Cincinnati Reds, and they scored those 5 runs early in the game, this offense has not looked the same. They have been in somewhat of a malaise here over the last couple of days. Didn't score the rest of that first game against Cincinnati, scored only 3 runs on Saturday, got 2 home runs in the game yesterday. That was it. That was all they were able to muster against Hunter Green and the Cincinnati Reds. And then tonight, I don't know what the excuse is. Yesterday, you could maybe fall into the trap of saying you look across the mound and it's one of the best young pitchers in the game in Hunter Green. He's a tough guy to crack. You got 1 run off of him. You got a home run. Sometimes you tip your cap and you say, hey, nice job to the other side. What's the excuse for Aaron Nola, who has an ERA north of 6 this season? Before the game, I think his ERA was like 6.7. It's now down to 6.2 after the game tonight. I don't know what the excuse is for not being able to hit a guy who, throughout his entire career, has done a great job of owning the New York Mets. But he has not been good this year, and the Mets could not crack him in this game tonight. It just baffles me that the Mets were unable to have some quality at bats here, and they didn't really have anything of note in this game until the late inning rallies. I mean, I'll consult the notes here. They got an opportunity in the second, first and third, but there were 2 outs. They didn't get anything there. In the third inning, Alonso, a 2-out double. Didn't do anything with that. The fourth inning was a quick inning. You got a leadoff walk in the fifth. And Mullins tries to bunt, pops out, and then Beatty makes a blunder over at first base running. That ran them out of that jam. And in the sixth, they couldn't hit him, and then they didn't absolutely do anything against the Phillies bullpen. In the ninth inning, they got to Duran and set it up. Second and third, 1 out. McNeil comes up, can't put a ball in play to test the Phillies defenders. I mean, this team is playing without Trey Turner and without Alec Boehm on the left side of the infield, right? Put the ball in play, make them make a play, put the pressure on them, get a ball deep into the outfield, get that sac fly, tie the game. And then you get Francisco Alvarez up there. And listen, I don't want to harp on Francisco. He's battling through 2 major injuries to play for this team right now. And he was really good before going down with the injury. But that's an at-bat that you can't have in that spot. I mean, those were 3 uncompetitive swings. I mean, those are 3 swings that aren't even close to competitive. I mean, those weren't major league swings at all. And it's hard because I got to criticize what I saw, and I saw a really bad at bat, but I know how much he's gutting it out, and that leads me to think that he's maybe trying to do too much, which is kind of what got him into trouble early in the part of the season when he was pulling the ball a lot, when he wasn't taking the ball to the opposite field, and he was swinging too much. And this was just a really bad at-bat, and it ended the Mets' chances of getting their first ninth inning comeback here this season. Now 0-60 when trailing after 8 innings in this one. And this is all about the offense earlier in the game. This is all about the offense not doing anything against Aaron Nola. I mean, the guy's got a 6 ERA. His fastball is not what it used to be. The curveball's getting hit more. You just got to take better at-bats. You got to put together rallies. And the Mets, they didn't do that tonight. And they really, again, the little secret about this is they haven't been doing it in a while. 2 runs yesterday against the Reds, 3 runs on Saturday. Yeah, they scored 5 in the first game against Cincinnati. They did all their damage early in that game and then did nothing. They scored 2 in the finale against Detroit. Since scoring those 22 runs in those first 2 games against Detroit, this offense has looked like a shell of itself. Now, I want to say that they can get back on track, but this is just a bad time to be going back into that malaise and to struggle the way that they did. And it's only going to get harder in this series. I mean, this was the matchup to get if you were the New York Mets. You're going to face the three good lefties for the Phillies the remainder of this series. So you're going to have to figure this out. Speaking of the offense, Max says, Chris, Mullins needs to be benched. How can Mendy justify playing a guy who is a negative on defense and on offense? Like, how bad does somebody have to be to have Acuna pinch hit? Generationally bad. Now, I think this decision, Max, becomes a lot easier if Tyrone Taylor is healthy, because I think he would just be playing every day. And I don't think we would even be having this conversation. But because Tyrone Taylor is hurt, I don't think they want to stick Jeff McNeil out there every single day in center field, although I don't know if it would be all that bad, right? I don't think it would be a huge downgrade to go from Mullins to McNeil out there in center field. But for whatever reason, they don't seem to want to put him out there as often as maybe we would all like to see in replace of Cedric Mullins. Yeah, I mean, Mullins has really not had any great at bats since coming to the Mets. It has been a real struggle for him. Tonight, he tries to bunt. He pops it in the air. It just completely kills that rally there in the fifth inning after the leadoff walk to Beatty. They're trying to score. I mean, you lose a game 1-0. This offense is better than that. This offense has to be better than that. And it just felt like a lot of weak contact. The fly balls that they got in play just weren't hit deep enough to do anything. It was just weak contact all throughout the course of the game, especially against Aaron Nola and then against this Phillies bullpen. Again, they did something in the ninth. Pete got that leadoff single that got things in motion. Mark Vientos continues to hit well against Philadelphia, the double opposite field, setting all of it up. You just got to get a ball deep enough to tie the game. You have to come through with McNeil and Alvarez, and they just don't get it done. But yeah, I mean, I hear you. I don't know why Mullins is playing every day. I think I would much rather see McNeil out there, play Beatty at second. You can play Vientos at third, and you can get Marte in at DH. I mean, certainly I'd rather Marte's bat in a lineup, even against righties, than I would Cedric Mullins's bat at this point. So there are different ways for them to go about this, but I don't know if they want to expose Marte every single day. And that's weighing on probably Carlos Mendoza's mind. But we're going to talk about this a little bit later on in the postcast here on the other side. But you're opening the door. You're opening the door in a big way. There's 18 games to go after tonight. And if the Mets aren't careful, by the time the night is over, they could have a real serious problem on their hands. I want to talk about Nolan McLean start. I do want to talk about the door being wide open for that third and final wild card spot in the National League. Would love to hear from you as well here on the Mets postcast, and we will get to all of it here on the other side. Most people, they can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth. 401ks, properties, investments. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch, it is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. They do the heavy lifting. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Maybe you'll identify that you're not saving as much as you thought. They'll help you notice an inefficient investment allocation, maybe that forgotten 401k when you switch jobs. Maximize investments, increase your savings rate, easily review your finances with your partner, keep a clear view of your financial health week to week and long term. All of it with Monarch Money. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONMLB. This episode brought to you by Zippix Toothpicks. Whether you're looking for nicotine satisfaction or an energy boost, Zippix has you covered with their nicotine and caffeine-infused toothpicks. For nicotine users, Zippix provides a discreet way to satisfy cravings and the hand-to-mouth habit without vaping or smoking. Zippix can be a helpful tool as you work to reduce your dependence on vaping. Available 6 great flavors, 2 milligram, 3 milligram nicotine options. And if you need energy without the crash, but their caffeine toothpicks They are a game changer. Go to ZipXToothpicks.com. Use code LOCKEDON for 10% off your first order. Must be 21 or older to order. Warning, nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's ZipXToothpicks.com. Promo code LOCKEDON. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix Toothpicks. Back here on the Mets postcast, Chris Schubert with you, recapping a 1-0 loss for the New York Mets in the opener of this series, 4-game series with the Philadelphia Phillies. Look, I think we can all say, amongst friends here, I hate to say it, but I think we all realize it. The NL East dream is over. After the loss tonight, the Mets now sit 8 games back of the Phillies for the NL East. This is now about holding off the rest of the teams in the rest of the National League wildcard picture, because things are getting a little scary with teams like the Giants, the Diamondbacks, the Cardinals, the Reds still hanging around. Lots of interesting storylines, more scoreboard watching that you're going to have to do. Nolan McLean got the start tonight for the first time, suffered a loss in his big league career, won his first 4 starts. And I'll tell you, I know he got the loss, and I know he didn't pitch great, but I continue to be impressed by the way Nolan McLean just battles. And I think that's the word I want to use. Battle. You want to call him a gamer. He did not have his best stuff tonight. 7 hits, all singles, by the way. Did walk 3. Did not have the bite on the breaking ball. I didn't love the strike zone tonight, but that's not the reason why Nolan McLean struggled. That's not why the reason the Mets lost the game. But it just felt like he didn't have a command of the strike zone with the breaking stuff. Tried to really use it heavily in the early part of the game. Phillies felt like they were on it a little bit, but he made a good adjustment. And again, only allowed the 1 run. So even when we would say so far through 5 starts, that's probably his worst start. That's worse than the Detroit start. And the Detroit start was probably his worst start. You want to call that a C+ effort, B- effort from Nolan McLean, and he still kept the Mets in the game and still got through 5 innings, went out there for the 6th, tried to work through the 6th inning, and kept the Mets in the ball game. And so I just continue to be impressed by the way his demeanor just continues to be just even-keeled, just takes the ball every 5th day and gives the Mets a chance to win. And if that's going to be the worst that you get from Nolan McLean, boy, he's going to have a nice future here for the New York Mets. All right, the door's open. I mean, let's talk about it. The Mets are flirting with disaster. I know what their playoff odds are. I know that their playoff odds, I'm looking at ESPN's playoff odds, and it has them at 93.3, even with the loss tonight. I get that their playoff odds are really high, and I know there's only 18 games to go. But I'll tell you what, I look at both the Giants and Reds, who are now just 3.5 games back. I see the Diamondbacks and Cardinals, who, as we do this postcast, are 4 games back. And all of those teams are still in action. As we're doing the postcast, the Reds haven't started with the Padres. The Cardinals haven't started yet. Diamondbacks start later against the Giants. I mean, this could be less. This could be less than just a 3-game deficit. For a 3.5-game deficit for the Mets in that final wild card spot. So they've got to be careful. They are opening the door in a big way here, because by the time we wake up tomorrow, it could be 3 games between them and the Reds. It could be 3 games between them and the Giants. The Diamondbacks could be only 3.5 back. This is getting serious. Now, the math tells you these teams are going to have to play otherworldly, while the Mets are going to have to play really bad. Mets have the 9th hardest schedule the rest of the season. The Mets have to play 3 more against the Phillies here in this series. They've got some tough matchups down the rest of the season, and we know they finished the year with Miami, and we know that's not a cakewalk. We know that they've struggled against that team before. So the Mets, if you ask me today, they're still a playoff team. They're still going to be a playoff team. I still think they're fine. But I just hate that they are leaving this door open to where I'm going to hit the end stream button here in a little bit. And instead of moving on with my evening, I'm going to be paying attention to what's happening with the Diamondbacks tonight. I'm going to be paying attention to what's happening with the Giants, the Reds, the Cardinals, because all of a sudden, the Mets could be in a position where one bad series draws everything tighter, draws everything closer. And so you just hate that the Mets, they had that great stretch in August with how great their offense was playing. They were playing well to begin this month offensively, and yet you look up and they've only got a 3.5-game lead. And it was just a couple of days ago, we were talking about a team that could have passed the Padres. We're tied with the Padres for that second wild card spot. Now it feels like you're worried about the teams behind you once again. Stuff to keep an eye on. Luis Torrens placed on the injured list today. Hayden Sanger called up, and so the Mets don't want to have 2 banged-up catchers here, so they put Torrens on the injured list. They don't expect it to be a long-term concern. I think they expect him to come back the moment he is eligible, but Sanger will be up in the meantime. I'm not going to say he's back. I did like Ryan Helsley in that 8th inning. I liked what I saw. Heavy slider usage through one fastball the entire inning, and he got Max Kepler to swing through it. We're not going to put him back on the trust tree. We're not going to invite him into the circle of trust just yet. But a good outing from Helsley. I want to see where they can get him another outing to see if he can start to build confidence. Max says, Chris, how can they be fine if it's September and they have not had a single 8th or 9th inning comeback? They effectively only have 7 innings of offense, if even. I hear you. I hear you. I'm just as frustrated that they're still not having that 9th inning comeback, that they're 0-60. But with how good this offense is, I'll take them getting a lead early and not having to make that comeback, right? They just need to figure out the consistency on offense, and to find a way when even things aren't going completely right, they can scrape across 1 run against Philly to force this thing into extras, right? On a night when your offense isn't great, if you can get it into extras and you can get the ghost runner on second base, you got a chance. You don't even need to get a hit. You bunt, sack fly, you get a run in, you can kind of be creative, right? You just got to find a way to scratch that run across, and the Mets couldn't even do that. They couldn't even have a productive out in the 9th inning. Jeff McNeil couldn't have a productive AB to get the run in. So they just have to find a way to get more consistency on offense. I still believe in the talent here. Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Vientos has been great since August 1st, even before that. This offense is good enough. You just hate when they just go missing for these what feel like forever stretches. And on a night where you get bad starting pitching, and I hate even using that word because it wasn't bad, but for McLean standards, the worst start he's had at the big league level, it's still good enough for you to win the game. And I didn't feel at any point that they were going to win this baseball game with the quality of the at-bats. So they've got to find it. And listen, there are plenty of reasons to look at this team and worry about them come postseason time. Max, I don't want to get ahead of the curve. Let's get in first. Let's take care of business here over the rest of this month and lock up a playoff spot. Because, again, we can wake up tomorrow and this is going to be a totally different situation. So this one's frustrating. This one's annoying. They had the chance in the 9th inning despite playing poorly offensively for the first 8 innings of the game. And, yes, now 0-60 this year when trailing after 9 innings. Just really frustrating to see the way this team has played in those late stages and in the 9th inning in particular, just unable to come through. And tonight, unlike some of those other opportunities, they had a chance, 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. They just couldn't get it done. It is Sean Manaea on the mound tomorrow, the 2nd game of this 4-game series. We will be right back here, Locked On Mets YouTube channel, Locked On Mets podcast feed, breaking it all down here on the Mets Postcast. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you are new. Turn on that notification bell so that you are notified when we go live after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. The Mets, they lose a game 1-0. This offense should be better than this. This offense should be able to scratch 2 runs across and win this game. It was there for the taking. You had a chance to win, what would have been 4 straight against the Phillies. You could have gotten to Duran again, could have had them thinking in their own head. They're down Turner right now. They're down Bohm right now. You could have gotten to Duran in that 9th inning. You could have stolen back the momentum again from this team at the start of the series. And instead, it's disappointing. It's a loss, and it's drawing all of those teams in the National League wildcard race all that much closer. Tough one for the Mets tonight. We're back again tomorrow to break down Sean Manaea's start against the Phillies. Until then, have a good one, Mets fans.